back in open session. Number 5, possible action taken on closed session items.
I would like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Sarah, it's Schulz, correct? Schultz, okay, to the village board, effective.
We did.
We did already. We'll let
Sorry,
you know.
we'll get you that.
We'll get you that info.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
You're good, you're good.
Okay.
Yep, so motion to approve the appointment of Sarah Schultz to the village board effective May 13, 2025.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or concerns? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Well, without further ado, we got to
Lucy, you get to do your thing. Sarah, come on up.
hear you.
Just put those off to the side for her.
Thank you very much.
Now the fun part starts. Oh, Jimmy Crickets.
We'll do it by the flag. Yes, sir.
I was like wrapped around it.
Okay, but just read this to me, just below, and then I will go ahead and notarize this. Okay? Oh, yes, raise your
Okay. I, Sarah Schulz, having been appointed to the office of trustee for the Village of Cambridge Board of Trustees, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin and the ordinances of the Village of Cambridge, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sarah.
Welcome
Have a
aboard.
seat.
Let
that's
the
where
fun
Mike is-
begin.
I said that to me too.
All right.
And then can you just do me a favor, I'm just gonna have you print your name here, and then sign your name there, and then I will complete the rest of it, and then I will also make a copy for you.
Okay,
And
thank
then
you.
I have more.
Okay.
Ready, you want to do the next one?
Yep. Are we ready with the new board member motions?
Yep, we're all good, I think,
All
there.
right.
Can you do the rest of that after the meeting? Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Okay, and then I'll take it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to address the personnel concern discussed in closed session.
I'll second.
All right. Any questions or concerns on that? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Catch you
Okay.
up on that at
Thank
some
you.
point in time. Okay, get you hooked up.
Were you able to get that, Lucy?
So Brian
So this
Okay.
just has to get kind of
made the motion
somewhere,
Okay.
just so it kind of sits up.
to address the
Personnel
pers-
concern
pers-
discussed in closed.
absolutely, and then seconded by Paula. Got it.
Okay. Any other discussion from closed? I think it was just those 2 items. All right, moving on to number 6, public comment. Do we have anybody that would like to make a public comment tonight? All right, got 3 minutes. Come on up. State your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Beth Crouch. I live at 213 East Main Street here in Cambridge. I've been a resident about 4 years. I have a project that I'm working on, and I just talked to Chris, and he asked that I come and make the village aware that it's happening. Can I take a moment to pass?
Sure, please.
So, I'll wait till I'm in front of the microphone to say anything else. So, I think I have enough. You may have to share over here.
That's fine.
We got, make sure.
Yep.
Sarah knows.
That's okay. Ooh, which way am I?
So this is a project that just came my way a couple of years ago. There's about an acre of land behind St. Pius Church. 8 years ago, a Boy Scout paved a path through that. This was Eagle Scout project, and it's really just been overgrown, just kept mowed. I discovered it and thought what a wonderful place it would be for the community to have a prayer garden back there. So started working on it over 2 years ago. Got a company called Field and Stream Restoration out of Cottage Grove to help with the excavation of the scrub brush, the trees, the scrub trees, everything that wasn't a really good hardwood tree. They kind of have eliminated back there. Have applied to, talked to the church, and Patty Stobush is here, she's the church secretary. They cannot locate the plat, so I had to call the village to try to find what we own. Just to be careful about the village boundaries, the neighborhood boundaries, especially since there's new subdivisions going in there. So that is one reason I wanted you to be aware of it, that I'm really trying to make sure that I don't encroach on village property and take really good care of that neighborhood for everyone. The second reason is that we have a ton of brush that's piled up. So on Saturday, we have a work day scheduled, and we need to probably get it to the curb. But I wanted to see if it might be feasible to just take the brush to the parking lot, because it's so far to go all the way to the street, and it's so much brush for the city cleanup that I don't want to.
Inundate.
And it's a school zone. It's across the street from the middle school, so I want to be careful with that, with people walking, and just not cause a big mess right there. So I'm just here really to make you aware that the project's going on, to know that I will cooperate with the village in whatever things they need me to do with the Public Works Department. And I think it's a good idea that we're just all aware. It could take up to 10 years to get this thing done. We don't have a time frame. We don't have any funding. I'll have to do some fundraising. I've got a big job ahead of me. But it will be open to the public. So all those subdivisions will be able to just, the kids can come in there and play. People can come. We'll have, proceed at your own risk so that we're not liable. So you may be here. I know the daycare is excited because they want paved pathways for their quadruple strollers that they're pushing. They're like, we have to go all the way down to the trail and then we can't push our strollers. I'm like, I will do what I can do. So that's basically it, just awareness. I wanted to, is that what you were looking for, really, Chris?
Well,
when
you said
asked me
the
to-
middle school, but it's by the elementary school.
I mean the
right?
elementary
Yeah.
school. I'm so sorry, the
Yeah,
coming
just-
from different cities, it doesn't make sense to me that the elementary school's much bigger than the middle school. I get them mixed up all the
Yeah.
time. So, all right.
Yeah, I just
you have-
wanted the board as a whole to hear.
Well, are there any
the project.
questions I can address at this time? That's just a rough drawing that someone volunteered to do for me, and I'm hoping to get a landscape company that might donate its services to help us do a better plan once we have a really good idea. But that's just a rough drawing of the space after we excavated.
Lucy, is there a way that we can get the plat?
Yeah, so that was what I was gonna ask you. Do you know a parcel number for this property?
Patty, do we know the parcel number? We've looked, and Patty's searched. She's our parish secretary, and she
Yes.
is unable to find anything.
I'm sure we can get it, but
Yeah.
I haven't been able to find it yet.
Okay. I can absolutely work with
Perfect.
you in accessing. Some of the things I've done is I might not have the plat map for that specific parcel, but I might have a subdivision.
Okay.
And then I can blow that up, and that's not going to tell you necessarily where your markers are,
Okay.
which those should be metal in the ground. There's
Yeah.
a few different ways.
We have found those metal
Okay.
markers. And a friend of mine has a hunting camera. This is all new to me because I'm not from Wisconsin, but apparently it shows him where he's allowed to hunt. And it did come up that you can see the city, the creek. You guys own that, I believe. The village owns the creek, but there's a strange triangle right in there that's owned by a family foundation. So that came up on, and so that makes me very curious because the metal markers are not clear. Like they're in weird, they don't make a clear boundary. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, and they don't always make a nice rectangular
So
square.
I really want to, and then once I saw that, that's when I became like, oh, I need to be careful back here. I don't want to encroach, on somebody else's land. So, but if we are able to do that, we'll have benches by the creek and we'll have just respite areas, and it should be a nice place for people to come. And then we'll have to have a plan for maintenance in the future and keeping it up, but hopefully we'll be able to do that. We now have, instead of just St. Pius Church, we have 7 churches that are all together as one. and we've merged. So, Fort Atkinson, Jefferson, Milton, Palmyra, this will be their garden as well. So we can look for funding from those sources as well to build this. And they'll send their children there on retreats, their youth, things like that. So that's the vision. I hope it happens. I'm going to work really hard to make sure it happens. So
How exciting.
Excellent.
thank you.
You mentioned that Saturday is a work day. Do you have enough volunteers?
No one has actually called me to say they'll volunteer, and if they don't, it's going to be me with my gloves hauling the brush, and I just would like permission from the village to just be able to haul it to the edge of the parking lot instead of to the street. That's like and I will call
So-
Public Works if I need to.
So here's my concern. So Public Works coming and picking up brush from homes is intended for like homes,
Okay,
not a big, huge
that's my
park
question.
area like this.
Okay,
Would you be able to find volunteers who can take the stuff out to the dump site?
Or the
Probably. Oh,
waste
yes.
yard
Or,
area.
yeah, the waste
to
yard
your,
area?
to your waste area?
Yeah.
We just got to make sure it's open, right?
Okay,
It is open on Saturdays.
I'm allowed to just do that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize I could
Yeah.
do that. Okay, wonderful.
And it's
Yeah.
posted, there's signage out there to work, put certain kind of brush and trees
Perfect.
and everything.
We
so-
initially asked for donations for a chipper, and we thought we'd have a work day and we'd do the chipping ourselves and then use the mulch, but no one has come forward, and so we thought, well, plan B, it's always plan B, so.
Right.
But I think I could probably find some people with some trucks that could do that,
haul it up.
so, perfect, that's a great idea. Awesome.
All right, well, thank you.
Great, thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you.
All right, public comment? Any other public comments tonight? All right, moving on to number 7, approval of the consent agenda. We got village board minutes from April 22nd, 2025, and personnel committee from May 8th, 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right. Okay, we got a motion and a second. Everybody,
I was happy to see how you guys are splitting up the employee handbook into the 3 sections. I think that's really smart. Instead of just saying, oh, let's just do the whole handbook. So
I wish I could take credit for that smart idea, but I didn't. It was a group effort. So
I like it.
I think we're working well together, so good start.
Excellent.
okay,
Thanks.
got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the approval of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Okay, number 8, library board meeting, April 23rd, 2025. That's you, Jennifer.
That is me. We had a meeting on April 23rd to discuss an open position on the library committee. We have a library board meeting tomorrow night, so we are going through our established process of interviewing and questioning the folks who have submitted their interest. And then we are reviewing the Cambridge Community Library Employee Handbook.
All right.
So you get to do it twice?
I do get to do it twice.
Wow,
It's very exciting.
You're so lucky.
the fun.
Do you have a bunch of applicants or a few?
We have 3 applicants, so we are excited about that.
That's great.
And just one note on the village board minutes from April 22nd. With this approval, that will allow me to sign checks moving forward. So this board meeting I will not be able to, but the next one I will, so. Because I have to present the approved minutes to each bank that we work with, so moving forward, so. Okay, that was the library board meeting. Approval of bills and discussion and possible action. Lucy.
Absolutely. So the first run of bills in the amount of $47,402.54. Second run in the amount of $18,379.42 for a total of $65,781.96.
Okay.
Can we, sorry, Lucy, can you get me a copy of everything that we have spent for MSA to date?
I can absolutely do that.
Because, I looked at what was included in this one, and I was just curious where we're at with sort of from a budget perspective on understanding where, you know, where we're at compared to what we've budgeted for them so far this year.
So just for 2025,
Yep, for 2025.
I can absolutely do that.
Thank you.
Would the rest of the board like me to send that to all of you? Or just Paula, just checking since I'm gathering it?
And I'm also the chair of the Public Works Committee.
Yes.
And I think most of the things they're working with are, and water and sewer. So most of the stuff they're working on is either water, sewer, or Public Works, which
Gotcha.
I'm the chair on both of those committees. So that's why I think it would be helpful for me to understand from both those committee perspectives as well.
Absolutely, I can do that.
Yeah, if you want to CC me on that, I'd be fine too.
Lucy, there's one question. There's two, under the computer magic, there's two identical charges of $405.87. Do you know what those?
Two different,
One's
different-
technology and one's computer support. And I think I asked this before, are this a quarterly bill or monthly? Because the way they listed it looks like it's a monthly, but then
It's
it's
just
at the
monthly.
end of the quarter. So, because it seems like we're paying a lot.
We are paying a lot, I can tell
So
you
what
that.
are we getting
Okay.
out of all? Okay, yeah.
Because they both say computer support. One says computer support and one says
they're
technology.
different numbers, so they're different departments. So
Yeah.
one is Public Works probably, and one is
Oh.
the
That makes
administration,
sense.
village
They split it
administration.
up.
There you go. Okay.
And just speaking of computer magic, Lisa and I have a meeting with them on Thursday to go over, it's our yearly visit with them, to go over plans. And I've been reaching out to them since January regarding the upgrade that Paula brought to our attention about the Windows. Paula, correct me if I'm wrong, is it Windows 11?
Yep, needing to go to Windows 11. yes.
And then when I first reached out to them, and I believe I shared this with you guys, found out that several desktops are going to need to be replaced because they're not compatible with the upgrade. And so that is finally happening this Thursday.
We're not doing desktops, we're getting laptops for everyone.
We could, with a charging station?
With docking
With the
station.
docking station, thank you, yes.
Yep.
With the docking station, because
Yep.
don't buy towers anymore. Towers are ridiculous. You buy
Obsolete
laptops.
at
Right
this
now, we
point.
have the micro PCs, the small, do you know what it, but absolutely.
Right now, or when I went through the contracts that I looked at, we are paying Computer Magic about $19,500 a year. But that's also for our server, hosting the server that stores our stuff. That's for the Microsoft licenses for Office and for email. It's for email archiving and you know, spam filtering and all that kind of stuff. But
Is that in, I'm not an IT person,
Cloud
so.
license and a Microsoft license is about, $15 a user. So
for you, because of your quantity discount, that's not.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. Have we looked at that as far as
we should
a?
When
dig
is
in.
that, when
So-
is that contract up?
It was up in April. It renewed in April 15th.
Okay, so for next year,
Yep.
if you go like.
I know I can tell you when it comes to open records,
Okay.
Brian, when it comes to open records, Computer Magic really saves us a lot of time and energy because you can just give them, okay, such and such wants open records, they want to see emails from whatever, and they can just pull it.
Sure.
So there is some benefit to that, but I'm sure other companies, we do our due diligence and have a request for proposal once that contract is up. Maybe we can find a better option.
The 2025 contract was not signed or dated, so I don't know if that makes a difference. So
did it change costs?
maybe we can negotiate some of that stuff, but
Thursday's meeting?
Thursday's meeting?
Absolutely, and if by any chance, again, no pressure, but if anyone is available, you're absolutely free to come.
What time is that?
Give me just a moment and bring that up on my calendar. It is at 1 o'clock. It's only from 1 to 1:30 according to the calendar. One thing I'm not positive is if Tom from Computer Magic's coming in person. I was not sent a Teams invite or a Zoom invite, so I'm assuming he's coming in person.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Lisa had set that up, so I'm not, but I feel like I would have gotten some
By
type of
now.
email invite if that were not going to be in person.
Do we know if there was a significant increase in the contract at all, or a change in costs or anything?
I don't know, but all I know is that the document I had in front of me, which was for, I think, 2024,
Right.
we paid $19,500.
Okay, that's why I was curious, because I know we
That's
said
all I
it.
know.
Okay.
Okay.
So if the renewal is not signed yet, is that a done deal, or?
Well, that's what we're going to negotiate on
Yep,
Thursday.
that's-
Okay, so it's, okay.
That's what we
Hopefully,
identified, because
okay.
we don't have a signed contract, so hopefully we
And
can.
then could you guys check and see the costs that we're paying, those are those reoccurring costs or support costs that we're getting from them, but it sounds like we also still have to buy all of our equipment
Yep.
on our own,
So-
right? That's completely,
They purchase it for us and install it, but that is billed separately. Like I
like
know
the
Lisa just,
monitor replacement.
yep, she had to
and-
have one of her monitors replaced, and that's all
And
addition.
that's additional. Okay.
So that is not included.
Well, sometimes what happens is over the years, you get services and you start paying for them, and then, it's like, I
Yeah.
got 5 what do I have all these accounts for? But
Right.
I need to analyze, what I'm getting out of all of them, so, okay.
So the monthly rate, when I go into it, we're paying $1623.50 a month.
So why would this check be for $1859.70?
There was that
Be-
monitor.
Because the monitor
monitor.
would be my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I meant, anything additional,
Oh,
we
yeah.
still also have to pay.
Computer monitor.
And one thing I can do too is I can run a report just as the vendor for Computer Magic for 2024 and so far in 2025, just to give you a snapshot and email it to you guys.
Sure.
Just so you can see all of the extras, not just the monthly bills.
That'd be good.
All right, any other discussion on our bills?
Did we get the highlights of the
Did we get the,
over 5,000?
So I can go through those.
all right,
So we have GFL Environmental for $9,855.86. That is our monthly garbage and recycle. Then we have MSA for $8,085.13. And I can grab the invoice. I apologize. I'm not sure specifically what service that was for MSA. I can look at that though. It is in our check folder. Then we have Safe Built, $15,342.33. And that is for the building permits and inspections services. Bayer,
And most of those were for the new apartments, right, going in on
Yes.
Vineyard Drive?
that is correct. And then we have Bayer Insurance Services for $8,275. And that was workers' comp and then auto insurance and liability. And then finally, the Dancing Goat Distillery for $7,835.68. That is our first installment of the year to them. They paid their first installment of taxes, so I only did half of what we owe them for the village portion of taxes for 2025,
okay.
for 2024 taxes.
Per the developers agreement.
Per the developers agreement, which I did, that is in there with like the invoices. If you want to see, there's the spreadsheet.
Great.
Well, I will make a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $65,781.96. Can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns? Roll call, please.
Okay. And I'm going to start with Schultz. Here. So just,
Yes or no?
yes, or no? Sorry.
I feel like I shouldn't be
That's fine, you
voting
can
on
abstain.
this.
You can
I will
abstain.
abstain.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, that's fine. And Bruning,
Yes.
Trundle,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Hollenbeck,
Yes.
Blackwood,
Yes.
Cricklow.
Yes.
Okay, so 6-1. 6-1, and we'll put 1 abstain.
Okay. Now we move on to new business number 10, discussion and possible action regarding Personnel Committee to review employee handbook. Brian, I'll leave this to you.
So we are planning in the Personnel Committee to review the employee handbook cover to cover. So we thought we would just get feedback on it, but when we went through it, there are so many items that maybe don't belong there, maybe should have never belonged there, need adjustments. So what we did was we decided to break it into thirds. So we're just going to take the first about 12 pages in our next committee meeting and review that beforehand, and then come in like a working group and just work through it. And then what we'll do then is once we get through all 3 sections, we'll work through it and then we'll present that to the board for approval for the whole thing. So that's our plan from the Personnel Committee.
I like it. I like it.
Is there a meeting set up for that initial?
It's in our it's on the agenda for our next personnel meeting.
Okay,
Yep.
all right,
May 29th, is that one?
Yes.
Yep. All right,
Okay.
thank you.
all right. Anything else from anybody else on personnel? Sounds like a sound plan. All right, on to 10B, appointment of Matt Hewson. Is that
Houston.
Hewson to the Water, Sewer, and Stormwater Committee, and I believe this is you, Paula.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint Matt Houston to the Water and Sewer the committee, the open citizen position.
Okay. Well, I'll second that.
All right, so Matt had this to say. Matt, he sent me some information. He, unfortunately, he had a prior commitment, so he couldn't come here. Otherwise, he was going to come and chat. Matt has experience in the chemical engineering industry for 13 years. He's actually started working, one of his last projects was working on a wastewater project that he was working on. He has a BS degree in chemistry from Whitewater, and the degree path was specifically adherent to American Chemical Society, of which he is a member. He is knowledgeable in plant operation, project management as well, and then he did interface with Madison Metropolitan Sewer District and the DNR on that wastewater project. So he said, I'd be very happy to serve our community. I'm very interested in seeing if there are ways we can simplify operations and decreasing costs that might be a big savings for the community as a whole. And he's sorry he couldn't be here today. So I think he'd be a great addition to the Water and Sewer Board, and I'd almost like to see him get on COWC.
Yeah.
So I might talk to Steve or Ted to see if they'd be.
And you'd be taking Gary's spot?
Larry's.
Larry, excuse
Yep,
me.
he's
Larry
taking
Gunzer.
Larry's spot.
Yeah.
Yep. So Larry chose not to.
Yeah, I wanted
Re-up.
to publicly thank Larry for his, he's been on Water and Sewer for, I want to say, at least 5 years as a citizen member. Kind of a quiet gentleman, but when he spoke, you know, everybody leaned in to listen. So I appreciate his help in Water and Sewer, and we look forward to, well, let's vote on this then with Matt. So we got a motion and a second. All those in favor of appointment of Matt Hewson to the Water, Sewer, and Stormwater Committee, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Welcome, Matt. All right, moving on to 11, old business discussion and possible action regarding Fire and EMS Commission update.
Could it be Fire and EMS?
And I will kick this off to Kristen, our new Fire and EMS Commission member.
Oh, I will give you, I don't know if you saw this, but I will give you a copy. I got a couple of extra copies. I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to look.
And for the audience, this is the Cambridge Community Fire EMS Commission document prepared by Trustee Blackwood, kind of discussions about how she would, you know, see a competent Fire and EMS Commission ran. And she took a whole weekend out, put a lot of thought into this, and it's a 16-page document, I believe. A little less than that.
A little less.
It's a great document.
Right.
I mean, I think.
But it's
I think
a
if-
framework,
yeah.
definitely.
And I think you cover all the bases, so.
My thought was, so having sat through 2.5 years of commission meetings just as a constituent, or 2 years as a constituent and then a year as a village board member, I was the person that was hypercritical of everything that was being done. So I took the opportunity to put together for myself and everyone kind of a roadmap of how we can work to potentially rebuild this commission into a functioning body, which we know it hasn't really been for the last several years. I believe, you know, probably the first, page and a half is all about trust and transparency. And that, in my opinion, has been severely lacking for the last couple years. And, you know, the big discussion in the community is, well, we need Oakland back, we need Oakland back, we need Oakland back. Well, we will not get Oakland back if we cannot ensure trust and transparency and meaningful change. So I went through and I talked about the financial picture, talked about defined roles, clearly defined roles of what the commission and commissioner should be, how we identify the scope of authority for them, because we have a lot of, right now, well, I report only to the president, or I report only to, you know, whatever, in a lot of unilateral decision making, and we can't have that going forward. So I believe that if the 4 individuals, somewhere hopefully down the road, Oakland as well too, if we truly want to work together and truly are open to all discussions, I feel like we can make change. So I don't know if anybody's got questions or anything like that, or.
You know, I think it's very well thought out, and I like how you have the different IGA sections listed in here. So if you do get any pushback from fellow commission members, you can state, well, if you open to page 3 of the IGA, it'll state specifically. Now, the IGA needs work.
IGA needs work.
And we are members of that IGA until 2028. But we can make amendments, and we've seen that happen before, if need be. So I think this is, I asked Kristen to bring this to our board so we could review it before we gave her the green light to go ahead and take it and share it with the commission.
So I did actually have a question. Item number 4, under the how will this be accomplished section, the considerations of the administrative clerk position.
Yes.
Would you envision that position then doing all the things Mrs. Clark does so that we wouldn't have to have Mrs. Clark?
Mrs. Clark and the CPA.
Perfect. All right.
So
I wasn't exactly sure if all of that was in here.
Yes.
But I wanted to just get that clarification. Thank you.
Yep.
That would be fantastic because that's what we need.
Cost savings.
Would be some cost savings as well too.
And the idea that so then we could get rid of both the secretary and the treasurer positions on the EMS commission.
The secretary position, the treasurer position would still have to be there for signing checks and things along those lines.
Like Steve Struss, he was still the treasurer when he was on, but he basically just signed, he was the double. It was him and Gene Kapsner signed checks.
Oh, so the president of
And
the
the
commission and the treasurer.
Treasurer signed the checks.
Okay, all right, great,
But
thank
we
you.
had another gentleman that was the bookkeeper that was there.
Yes.
That did basically the financial grunt
Ted,
work.
oh,
so.
Ted.
Yeah, Ted
Yeah.
Quantum.
Yep.
Okay,
And the thought with the administrative clerk would be a continuity. You know, the board, the commission changes year to year to year. This individual would potentially, you know, prep and post agendas, take minutes, manage mail, bill
Manage the
pay.
minutes, because the minutes are gone.
Minutes are gone.
yeah, that was one of the things that in the revised IGA we were trying to put together. this kind of a
Yes.
position was really important in
Yes.
it. So I think,
Yes.
I think that would help give that transparency that you're talking about
Yes.
too, because they aren't,
No.
they don't have a, vested position from their municipality perspective.
No,
right?
they're an independent person. They would not be a village board member. They would not be a commission member. And the thought too is, it's very, very difficult to have meaningful conversations with each other when you're scribbling notes and trying to take minutes. And I mean, Lucy and Lisa can attest to that.
Yeah.
And that this individual is strictly there to listen and to record, and that way the commission can have a meaningful conversation.
Yeah, you almost
and-
have one less commission member because they're just doing administrative duties.
Mm-hmm.
They're, what was that? Who made that
Who
motion?
made that
Who was the
motion?
second?
Stuff like that. Mhm.
So,
Yeah. So good.
yeah.
So, a lot of it centers around open, honest communication, complete transparency, and a willing to work together.
So when is the next commission meeting, and
does
are you
IGA
presenting
stand
this
for?
at that commission meeting?
It's May 21st. Second, 21st. I gotta look.
21st.
21st, thank you. I had a conversation with Alicia Hines from Rockdale about agenda items. We have a few, I believe, of the sections to be on the agenda to be discussed. It seemed a little bit overwhelming to, it's going to be presented to everybody there. Whether we'll be able to go through the whole thing will be.
Right, at least present it and
Yeah.
say, hey, let's talk about this at our next meeting or whatever. And then are you electing new officers at this first meeting? You're
Supposedly.
supposed to,
Supposedly.
according to the IGA.
There's
Okay.
a discussion that one of the commissioners may not be there because they're on vacation, so.
You still have a quorum.
Right, and I believe Alicia had reached out to just confirm that they knew that and that those elections would be taking place, so, but some of the things too that I went through are like, bill paying processes. We don't have those right now. So, working with a system like Workhorse or some other, they can generate the reports, they can
Even
be.
QuickBooks,
QuickBooks, yeah.
goodness sakes.
I
Yeah,
think-
that's what Wamp used.
Yeah, I think so. So, so we'll see. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but I believe it can be done.
I have confidence in you in that role. I think you are going to be a bulldog on us getting the control of, or not really control, but an understanding of what's happening.
Right.
Because
Right.
we have begged for it for 4 years and nothing's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key point is everybody needs to be aware of it. I mean, we need to be aware of it, but they need to be aware of it, and that's not happening.
Yep.
So, yep. So,
Well, that brings us to number 2, second quarter invoice. I believe, did we get a request for the second quarter invoice yet, Lucy?
Yes, we have, and on that, it was not noted any difference. It shows for first quarter, the 147.88. It did not break down what we have paid, those details. I can tell you for the first quarter, because of the changing rates in total, we paid $119,424.04 to date, which with the new quarterly approved payments leaves us a balance of $28,463.96. That, but we have not received a specific invoice for that balance.
We have received a specific invoice for the 151 though, for the second quarter,
For the
right?
The
147,888.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, we have.
All
And
right.
on that, this specific one, which is in the packet, for the first quarter, it just does state the 147,888, but it doesn't know what we have already paid.
Okay. Second quarter invoice.
So the tabs, that rest of that first quarter and the second quarter, correct?
I think at this point, we're only
No, just,
Just the second quarter. Nobody's
Okay.
talked about the first, whatever potential is there, so. I'll make a motion to pay the second quarter fire commission assessment for $147,888.
and I will second. Let's discuss.
I don't want to pay it.
Yeah.
My thought process is, to some extent, we are receiving services. One of the hopes that I have is that we will go back and look at this budget again, because, to quote another commissioner, big ideas short on details. There's a lot of details missing out of that budget, and I think there truly is work to redo it. I don't know if that's something we can do, but Mr. Williams, we met, let me back up for a hot second. Alicia and I and John Williams met with an individual from the rural EMS. He's a consultant from the rural EMS program. And one of the things during that meeting, Mr. Williams said, is that he's been able to enact significant savings in that budget. Big cuts out of that budget. So
If that's the case, then we should see a corresponding
yes,
decrease in the amount we have to pay, because I don't want to use our taxpayer dollars to create a slush fund.
no,
for Fire and EMS service.
I agree. And my thought was, he's not going to we don't have that information in front of us right now. But my goal would be by the time the third quarter is due, that we have a better understanding of what the budget looks like, what our costs are, and we can reevaluate what those assessed, because I think they overshot.
And to kind of bring Sarah up to speed on the mission, I'll call how the sausage is made.
That's a great analogy.
So we, with Oakland stepping out, we now pay the lion's share of fire and EMS. And we have a motion and a second on the table here right now. But big part of the discussion is, Paul brings up a good point. I don't feel like we should pay it. We're not getting the services that are advertised. But the part that has us kind of over a barrel is the fact that if we do not pay in a certain period of time, we incur interest of, I believe it's 18%?
18%.
We have 60 days per the IGA.
And I believe how many days has already passed when we were invoiced?
So April 1st, so 43 days, 44 days.
And we'll hit, before our next meeting, we'll be at that 60 days, right?
No,
No.
nope. If the next meeting, we could approve it for payment, and we would not hit the 60 days.
50. We have to pay it no sooner than June 1st,
Yeah.
or no later than June 1st.
Yep. I mean, I would kind of like to see what comes out of the EMS
first-
commission
the
meeting.
first
I'd like to
commission
see your meeting, because per the IGA, weren't you supposed to meet in April and set the,
All it says is quarterly meetings.
no, for setting the, electing the officers?
Nope, that's May.
Oh, that's
It says
May.
in May.
Okay.
Because all the boards are not fully in place before the end
Okay.
of April, so.
All right, well, I would kind of like to see what comes out of that meeting before I would feel comfortable approving payment. But I'm only one person, the rest of y'all can agree, and
I
my
have a
vote wouldn't matter.
financial question for Lucy. Hate to put you on the spot, but of what we budgeted for 2025 for fire and EMS services, what have we already used?
Give me just a moment.
Over 50%.
So we budgeted $200,000.
Right, so we've already spent
We've
over
used
50%.
$119,424.04. So
Right. We've already spent over 50%.
yes. So we have 80. Hang on one second. 80. 424. for $80,575.96 left.
So do we, to play devil's advocate, do we just vote to pay what we have left on our, right now? For the budget? I don't know how that works.
I'd like to make it clean, see what happens during your commission meeting. Paul, you bring up a good point, maybe that's where Kristen can come back and say, we're gonna have to pay whatever, but we've at least agreed to relook at the budget and with the new board members on and see where we can cut or what has been cut already.
Has been cut.
I know there's been talk about an ambulance for sale.
That's on Lake Mills' agenda tonight. The town of Lake Mills' agenda tonight is the sale of Rescue 92.
You guys can't sell anything
Well,
until,
Yeah.
because of Oakland.
Not even that. It's
Yeah,
it's
Mr.
got to
Hahn
be a
agreed to that as well.
commission decision to
sell
sell,
it.
which then is taken back. So there's no action. They can't do anything as far as selling it.
Yeah.
But it is on the agenda.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When I brought that question up to the commission lawyer, he agreed that the process is that it shouldn't have been on there and it needs to come back to the municipalities, so.
And that is clearly spelled out in the IGA.
But we can't sell anything until we settle up with
Correct.
Oakland because of their departure.
Right.
In the audit
Right.
that's
and
going
the-
on right now.
Right,
Right.
so,
And some of where we're going to run into as well too is, so any run revenue that was generated in 2024, because sometimes what will happen is like the last couple months of the year, that run revenue actually gets paid out in 2025. That money also has to go into that separate fund. So we have to make sure that those funds are being divided so that they are getting into the right bucket and that they're not
That makes
just being
sense.
spent.
yep,
Well, that's problematic because
for that.
the budget for 2025 stated that the run revenue was just going to go,
Can't do that. I
just
know
going
what
to
you're
go
talking-
to
the reserve funds
reserve funds.
that aren't on the agenda, or that are not on the budget.
Yeah. Okay.
So they can't do that.
Do that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or concerns on that? If not, I'll ask for a roll call.
Oh, great.
Can you repeat the motion, please?
So the motion is to pay the second quarter invoice, correct?
Of what
Of
amount?
$147,888.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Okay, we have Schultz.
I would say no.
Okay.
And
We,
wait.
no problem. Blackwood,
Yes.
Bruning,
No.
Hollenbeck,
No,
Grendel,
Yes.
Harklow,
No.
and we have
Jacobson.
Jacobson. Thank you.
No.
Okay, so we have 2 yeses and 5 noes? No.
Yep.
We're finally at 7.
Yep. I think
And
it's
so it fails.
All right.
it's a fair decision.
Okay. I can move on to number 12, correspondence. I don't see anything there.
Nope, we do not have anything.
All right, and now for our second public comment, if anyone,
I
Go
don't have, oh, no, I'll do it the next item, never mind.
we have, again, one of the things I mentioned at the last meeting is a lot of times people will hear things during the meeting, so we have initiated a second public comment, so anyone that has a public comment can come up here. If not, we'll move on. Any public comment? No? Okay. Number 14, questions and referrals to staff or future agenda items. I have on here vacancy of library board. Jennifer talked about that. Tomorrow's meeting is going to make that happen. Committee assignments. Sarah will get you the committee assignments so you can
Great.
rack and stack.
Great.
Snowplow. Snowplow, I want to discuss that. Lucy and I have been in discussion, and let's be fully transparent with our discussion with the board. can you kind of bring the board up to speed on where we sit with the snowplow?
Absolutely.
Starting with our conversation and then Mr. Hank and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So I had been, at the last meeting, we talked about it, and we weren't sure where the chassis was. And so I did some investigation, tried to get a hold of Hank. I got a hold of Hank. The truck has not been delivered and it's not en route at this point. Again, I was told a day or two, but keep in mind, well over a month ago, was told it was en route already. So then from there, I asked for the name of the company that's going to do the upfitting, which is Madison Truck Equipment. And I reached out to them and talked to the sales manager that's handling this. And because I had heard that there was delays and there were issues with, not issues, but some contracts were being sent to other businesses. And I wanted to get a timeline and some more information for you guys. There is delays. They are shorthanded. I was given an ETA for all of that equipment to be installed. It would not be until early 2026. Keep in mind, I would add some more, just as a buffer, that because things are so behind, I think it's very difficult for them to give us a real accurate timeline. So then we are left with Hank, once that is delivered, which it's not yet, wants payment for that chassis, which was just under $120,000. He wants that once it's delivered to Madison Truck Equipment, because his part of the obligation has been completed. But yet we are going to be paying for something that we will not be able to use for well over 6 months. I dug and found all the paperwork that I had from when the agreement was made back in 2023, plus the invoices for the equipment and the chassis itself that was part of last board meetings. I scanned all of that and sent that to Jane Landretti, our village attorney, and I asked her to please review that, because from my first look at it, I do not think there's any legal obligations or specific contracts. I think it is more an intent to purchase. And so she is going to be reviewing that and getting back to us, because one of the options that Chris wanted me to see is there an option to get out of this? Again, we would need the majority approval from the board and have to put that on an agenda, but just wanted to see if that was an option. I also wanted to share, because during these conversations, then Hank went and reached out to Derek, our interim public works director, and I needed to fill him in so he wasn't blindsided. Again, and this is just, we're just tossing out ideas and whatnot, and so I filled Derek in, and he also wanted to let me know he did some searching of his own. There are other fully equipped snowplows ready, very comparable to this, fully ready to purchase off the lot right now for a very similar price.
So if we really needed one.
If we really needed one, wanted to throw that out there. One of the gentlemen from Madison Truck Equipment, because I was honest, and I said, we did not, I just said we have some financial situations that I wanted to see if we had, a contract where we are obligated, and if we back out, is there like a shelf price where you to put it back on the market and whatnot. Could not provide anything like that. He did.
So you're using a different company name. When I went through the contracts, I
Yes.
saw a contract for Lakeside International Trucks.
Yes. So Lakeside International Truck is who we purchased the chassis from.
Right, that's the only contract document that I had, and all that had was a start date. There wasn't necessarily an end date. And I thought there was something in there about delivery delays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
You're 100% right,
Okay.
because I reviewed all that, and that has
Good.
been sent
To
to
Jane.
Jane.
perfect. Okay,
Because I want her.
so we'll get more detail in the
So
next
we'll
meeting.
get more detail. A, can we get out of it? B, do we want to purchase something that's ready on the spot, and then that way we can sell what we have? C, do we want to just postpone it all together? You know, there's
Yep.
a bunch of different things.
Options.
Yep,
I
yep.
think with me, when I found out about the delays with the upfitting and the issue with Madison Truck Equipment, my first thought was, we have to go out for a loan for this, and that's why we wanted both prices. But now we're taking out a loan and we're not even getting the product.
Yep, and that's ridiculous.
And from my standpoint, Lucy and I had this conversation. I asked her to explore options. I wasn't speaking on behalf of the board. I have no intent on speaking on behalf of the board, but I'd like to be able to bring back to the board options. And if one of those options is, because of our financial constraints this year, is that we can push this off, I would like to explore that and bring it to Public Works so they can dig into it. So I am a trustee, just like everyone else, and I want to make that perfectly clear. So,
Yep, good.
but I appreciate you doing the
Legwork.
legwork on that, and
Well, I would dig into it as much as possible, because it sounds like if they're not even gonna almost get it into 2026, if we miss out the snow season, we aren't even getting this thing
No.
That
realistically.
you just, yep,
So
you
what is the
just
point?
hit on the
Yeah.
point that I was going to bring up.
Outlay money, so as
Yeah.
much information on
Yeah.
whatever is going on.
and
I
Lucy's
think is
all
a good
over it,
idea.
and I appreciate it. So
That's
and
awesome.
Thank you.
if you
Yeah,
could just
I
bring
appreciate it.
Paula as the chair of Public Works up to speed on all the details and kind of keep her in the loop on it.
Absolutely, I can, and I think right now, very curious to see what Jane comes back with. And I did talk to Jane today, and on our conversation, she said during that last meeting, she started doing a little digging, because her concern, from just real high level, was even paying for the chassis when it's not delivered to us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I put the pause on searching for lenders on that right now,
Good. Yep.
because
that's why I was-
again,
Figuring this out is a higher priority
Exactly.
than
Yes.
looking for lenders.
Yeah.
yep.
Yep.
Does anyone
Good.
have any further questions on that?
Nope.
That's awesome.
All right, we will move to 14D, State Health Insurance Plan, June 10th, 2025.
That'll be a future agenda item.
Yeah, so what this came out of is personnel. Lucy did a bunch of work on working through looking at if the employees could get on the state health insurance plan and what that would look like, and options and costs. And I mean, we just met it the first time, it was kind of just handed to us, and so we decided, Lucy, to gather up those numbers, get them in summary. We worked out our schedules to make sure we're having a personnel meeting on the 29th, so we can go through that, make a recommendation, but we feel that we'll be able to actually get some real cost savings out of it, and then also actually provide the employees with a real nice
Choices.
Good.
plan.
And choices,
Choices.
which was the
So-
best part.
It's a win-win if we can get there, so that's why we're trying to
Yep.
hustle up.
And I
make
do
sure
have
that
an update on that for you
Oh.
as well. So I am halfway done with the spreadsheet, so it was just to fill you in that we're
Hold
on
on.
the personnel.
It's not on the agenda.
Okay, sorry.
Yep.
You can talk to him after the meeting.
Yeah.
Sure,
Okay.
okay, no problem.
Okay.
We'll bring that up.
One other item, future agenda item, I'd like to update the board on what we found out about the bike path and where we're at with the bike path monies.
Absolutely.
All right. And number 15, upcoming meetings. It looks like May 14th, Library Board, May 20th, Economic Development, May 20th, Water and Sewer, May 21st, Fire and EMS Commission, May 27th, Joint Law Enforcement, May 27th, Village Board, May 29th, Personnel and Licensing TBD, June 10th, Board of Review, June 10th, Village Board meeting, June 17th, Water and Sewer, and June 24th, Village Board. All right. And with that, I'll take number 16.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.